Well, there would be two reasons that they may want to do an asset search on the individual. The first is prior to commencing the lawsuit, and the reason is because if the person does not have anything, why waste your time and money in court? If you're not going to collect, there's no reason to get a judgment. The other reason is once you do obtain a judgment on someone, find out what you can attach a lien to by conducting an asset search.
Assets are defined as can be somebody owning real estate. Asset could be money in the bank, stocks, bonds, brand new car with no lien. I mean, anything that someone can attach onto something is considered your asset. You know, anything you have could be your asset. Your bedroom set. I mean, everything's an asset. Your $200,000 house, it's an asset. What happens a lot of times, people are sued, or they win a judgment in court, and you try to collect from an individual. Okay, now you have to know the assets of an individual. Does he have income? Income is an asset. You know, in income, you can garnish the wages. You have to find this information out. It takes investigation. It takes a little digging. What you have to learn is go to the courthouse, see if this individual has property. Just bring his name up to the real estate division, the auditor's office, the treasurer. They'll check this information for you. You can even look this up yourself. Sometimes you can get this information on the phone. Just give the name or the address, or just the individual's name. Sometimes, in some counties, they can look up and see if this individual has property. You have to know the county where the person has real estate. It's a county listing. It's located at the county courthouse. It's the treasurer's office, the auditor, the property assessor, and this information can be secured through that office.
Well, basically, you have an individual get a judgment on someone, and basically coming out of the courthouse with paper in their hand, that judgment doesn't mean anything until you try to collect on it. So you have to find either bank accounts or something to attach, like a vehicle, real property. Now it depends on real property whether you're going to go after a house. If he has homestead on a house, you're not going to be able to touch it. However, if he owns the lot next door, you can grab that lot. If he owns another apartment building or anything like that, you can grab that. Main thing, the easiest and the fastest to get your money from is bank accounts.
We can also find that information via subpoena as well. Always better to get it free. Get it with a subpoena. You sue the guy, give me all of your records. And that means the bank applications for a loan for the house. They're going to want to know all about you. Who your mother and father were, where they were, someplace you made out that application. That's public information someplace, or obtainable by a subpoena. You get that, then you start tracking.
If it's a document concerning bank records or some type of other records, it's out there. It's just that you have to be able to know where to look for it and how to dig for it and where to dig for it. Because you'd be surprised in some files, you'll find things that are unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You could write to the state, pay a fee, and then they will send you back everything that person owns. Or you can check the courthouse records, find out what property, tax assessor's office, check the property in that county for it. But then you also, when we do something in Florida here, we check the whole state for property at one time, which would be very difficult for you to do. You'd have to go county by county throughout the state, checking in the tax rolls, find out what property belongs to the individual solely in his name, not with interest with anyone else.
Right here, two sides, all the land records in Brevard County for 1 year. Cost me $40, saves me umpteen hours. Because every jerky attorney and doctor thinks we can't find them. They have their home listed right here. They have the unlisted phone number. So for $40, we get all their addresses. Okay. Now, we keep every one of these. So if I look up this year and I notice that you don't own the property, I'm not really interested in that. I want to know 5 years ago what property you own. Now I want it. Then it's easy. Once you know where the property is, you track who owns it. And more than anything else, under subpoena, you ask for the passport.
Now, the advantage that we have is we maintain the microfiche on motor vehicles for years, and we go back over those microfiche to find out, especially if the prior to the date of the judgment, when the lawsuit originally took place, in case anybody's trying to hide assets and they transferred that vehicle to maybe the wife's name or the husband's name or the children's name or the in-law's name or the parents' name.
But running an assets check on either a company or an individual is very similar. The FAA, for example, will have records of any person or company that owns aircraft. The natural resources in each state will have information on boats and vessels, water vessels that are owned by companies and individuals. Again, it depends on what the purpose of the asset search is for as to what assets you're actually trying to uncover.
Assets can also be boat registration, vehicle registration. You can check with the county, the title and tag office, or it's a state listing. You can call up, and some states will check, depending on where your state is. You can write in for the information, or you can telephone in, and for a fee, they'll provide this information to you if the individual has a vehicle or a boat. Boats are usually done county registration, depending on the state, and they'll give you this information if the individual has something registered.
The Department of Natural Resources maintains the records on the boats, liens. That's very important. If there's a big lien on that boat, you don't really want to grab it because it's a hassle to straighten out the lien.
Hidden assets. You have to this can be a long paper trail too. What I mean by that is if someone has some real estate, and I'm talking about a lot of real estate, and you can see if they had quick claim deeds and changed it over to somebody else, maybe a brother, maybe a father. They hid the assets, and that can be detected because they can show you who was transferred from and when. So if you just went through a divorce, you say, well, and 2 days or right before the divorce, he changed all his real estate over to a relative. It's noted in the courthouse. Same thing with bank accounts. He might have changed his banking records over to the children, or over to another relative, since you might have child support custody there. He most likely changed it over to a friend or got the account under his name. I know individuals who had real estate and they put it in their friend's name, and then their friends had fights with them and they took their real estate. So I don't even recommend that, you know.
Now, most assets are moved over to relatives, wives' maiden names, or in-laws, or something along those lines. So you have to know who those people are. Where can I find your maiden name if I don't know? Well, first of all, you start in marital records.
The fella can have a job, but you don't know. You're trying to win your, you got a judgment, now you got to find out if this fella has a job. Okay, so you can attach. What you do is you contact a database company. They'll do a national social security search. Usually on a social security search, an employer will come up. And bingo, you call the employer, and you find out that the fella is still working there. You turn it over to the county where you got your judgment, and they'll take it from there. A good way of finding out when an individual is employed by calling a neighbor. Using your city directory, crisscross, gather up some phone numbers, call some neighbors, tell them you're doing you're writing some insurance on a fella next door, and you just need to find out what kind of employment he's involved with. And sometimes the neighbors will tell you.
The best way to do it is to find the employer, number one, and then call, and then just use a pretext. He's buying a car. You want to verify employment? They verify the employment. You want to verify the amount of money that's made each week on a weekly basis, or is it bi-weekly? How does he get paid? Now, here's another one.